She goes, oh, yeah. I said, when's the big day for you and Ken? She goes, Allan, I don't think I'm going to marry him. I said, what? What's the problem? She goes, well, he kind of like thinks he's like better than me. I said, Kathy, he is. And Danny, he's right down by you in the Bass River now. There's some home. I said, you're supposed to marry up. I did. That's the whole name of the game, right? So I've always, and to this day, she always thanks me. Now I began talking about Aristotle and Craig, and I'm going to end on that note by saying this. Aristotle, in fact, Aristotle once said, we become what we do. And what I love about Craig and Brian and Todd and Danny is that like any other organization I've ever seen, they are consumed with their methodologies and systems. I love that. It isn't about them. It's really about the culture and their approaches. Craig is a selling engineer. He's a scientist in terms of that. Well, Aristotle was the first scientist, as I mentioned. But one thing that's interesting about Aristotle is that Google Aristotle tonight, and what you'll read about is that Aristotle had a coach. Who was his coach? Anyone know? No, Plato. Aristotle had a coach. His name was Plato. He felt he needed a coach. Some of us think we don't need it. We're smarter than Aristotle. But Aristotle had a coach. Guess who? Plato had a coach. Who was his coach? Socrates. Now, if Aristotle was coached by Plato, and Plato was coached by Socrates, who then did Aristotle coach? Alexander the Great. Google that tonight. So what I like to do is that we talked about making money as a science from the Labor Department, skills, education. We talked about the industry's evolution. We talked about the Craig Proctor revolution. I'd like to add one other dimension, and that is this. This is my personal experience. I've been around people much more successful than I am, to my great privilege. And if I had to pare down their single greatest talent or characteristic to one in terms of how they're successful, they have the ability to make decisions. They're decisive. And there are people here, for example, that are going to be making decisions while you're here. People who struggle with decisions, they can't cause other people to make decisions. And if somebody can't be decisive about their career and what they need to do, you will not be decisive over the next 3 or 4 years ago, because consumers are going to need to be more decisive than any time in our generation in terms of that. I would not speak this glowingly about Craig Proctor, his team, his systems, his organizations, if I didn't believe from the bottom of my heart it will incredibly increase the value proposition and the income of every person who dedicates themselves to doing what you're able now to do. But I also want to add this other dimension. Don't limit your inference of the value of the Craig Proctor to the millions of dollars of value that he has created in the systems and the methodology. Of even greater significance is that you need to align yourself with people, mentors, coaches, and each others, especially in these times in terms of that. So don't just look at one thing, as Craig said, in terms of a buffet. And with that, if I didn't talk head on about some of that, I think it would be disrespectful to you, because I know you're here looking at taking your career to the next level. You're already at an incredibly high level. The fact that you're there, and it's been a high honor to have been invited to just be part of this. Thank you very much, and continued success. Thank you. Thank you.